Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to knit without knitting. This is a Tunisian knit stitch and you just need a crochet hook. You can actually do this with a crochet hook. I have a Tunisian hook, which is the longer version, but you can absolutely do this swatch with me with a smaller hook. So for starters, we're going to make a swatch and let's chain 11. So for this stitch, we're going to work onto the back side of our chain. So we turn our work and we're going to work onto these little bumps that you see right here. So we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, and we keep our stitches in our hook. So this is first stitch and this is our second stitch. So we continue with our chains. And of course we should end up with 11 stitches in our hook, or however many chains you did, that's what we're going to end up with. So now we just went forwards, now we're going to go backwards. This Tunisian knit stitch, we usually go forwards and backwards, so you don't need to do any like purl stitches. If you were to knit, so we don't turn our work, we just work forwards onto the right side of our swatch. So we're going to chain one onto that very first stitch, and we're going to grab our yarn and pull through two of our stitches and pull, and we keep pulling in pairs until the very end of our row. So now this is where we get into the meat of our burger. We're going to pull, or we're going to insert our hook in between our stitches. So if you look closely onto our stitches, you see there is this little hole in here. So we're going to actually insert our hook and go through it all the way, pull, and this is what it's going to make our knit stitch like. So we're going to pull onto that little piece of yarn. So of course our very first stitch counts as one, and we're going to keep doing that. So hopefully you can see, but we insert our hook onto our previous row and we pull our yarn. And after a couple of rows, you'll start to see the actual knit like. You can actually see it as of right now, how you see the traditional B stitches, like you can see them right here. It's just a swatch that I did, but you can see that starting to create those B's. And of course on our very last stitch we want to catch those two pieces of yarn. So we insert our hook, we yarn over, and we pull, and now we're doing our return pass. So we chain one onto that very last stitch and we go and pull through two of our stitches, and there we go. As you can see, you can start to see the actual knit stitch like pattern. And of course, for our next row and for the rest of our piece, we're just going to insert our hook onto those stitches, and you'll start to see the pattern forming. So don't give up. Go watch this video a couple of times. Of course, there's a ton of tutorials out there, but this is just a very simple substitute to actual knitting. I tried learning myself, but I just couldn't. I thought it was, oh my god, so much time consuming. I once stabbed myself with a knitting needle and I was like, nope, I'm done with this. I think I'm good, until I found this very simple way of knitting without knitting. So again, for our next row, we're just going to do the very same thing, always keeping our stitches and our hook. And of course, since you can see that your project starts to warp or curl or whatever, you can always put a clamp on it. I like putting a clamp on it so it doesn't bother me while I'm actually knitting. And as always, you can already see the pattern forming. So chaining one always onto the very last stitch, and we continue with what we've been doing the last couple of rows. So yes, I hope this tutorial is very helpful for your projects, and of course, knitting without knitting is very much it's the elite way of knitting. And look how pretty it looks. Like, you can create very pretty things with this stitch, and you're not knitting, but you are, which is very fun.